show yourself.
Thank you. You guys can have a seat. Hey, my name is Mario Zuniga, and I thank you guys for coming to my speech today. Today I'm going to talk about margarine, butter's substitute, and I'm going to tell you the truth behind the substitute. I will have a section for questions at the end of the presentation, so just hold your questions till then, and I'll let you know, and we'll answer any questions that come up during the speech. So, let's begin. You guys have heard the commercials, I can't believe it's not butter. And a lot of us have heard those commercials, and we gotten to where we're like, wow, you know, you're walking down Walmart and you see that product and you're like, hey, I'll go ahead and take that. I've seen that before on TV. But I want to pose a question to you guys. If it's not butter, then what is it? We eat it, we put it on our bread in the morning, we make it to bake cakes. So what is it that we're putting in our systems? What is it that we're consuming? We know it's called margarine. We know that it's much cheaper than butter, and a lot of us buy it because it's cheaper. So my purpose today is to inform you about margarine, not sway you one way or another, but give you enough information so that when you do go out and buy these products, you at least know what you're getting. In order to do that, I'm going to present three different main points. I'm going to talk about the history of margarine, what it is, and I'm also going to speak to how healthy or unhealthy it may be versus butter. So, on my first point, let's talk about history. So, butter's been around for millions of years. Ever since there was cows and milk, there's been butter. Because butter is just a derivative from milk. So we have that understood. What is margarine? Well, in France, during the rule of Napoleon III, there was a big cattle famine, and a lot of cattle were dying. They were called the Big Cattle Plague. So all these deaths of these cattle caused a huge shortage in milk. So what did he do? He said, I need somebody to make me a substitute for butter. Butter's used in everything. It was used to feed the soldiers, bake cakes, make bread, everything. So, and it was very, very expensive because there was not enough milk to make it. So he said, somebody make me something to substitute butter. So 300-400 years before that, a guy named Michael Chevreul, he was playing with chemicals, and he realized that by putting hydrogen, it could make a different substance. And he called this substance margaric acid. Now, this is an acid. This cannot be consumed. It cannot be eaten. Margaric acid can be deadly. But the scientists in France and England got together, and they came up with something that can be edible from this. In other words, they combined different molecules, and they made it to where you can eat this thing. And if you know that, you got liquids and you got solids, they got it right around the middle where it's kind of buttery, where you can put it on bread, where you can spread it, and it's not a solid like a plastic would be, and it's not liquid like water would be. That's the origin of margarine. What it is. Let's talk about what it is. We talked about how it was made. Did you know that margarine shares every quality with plastic except one molecule? You got plastic and you got margarine. The difference between margarine and plastic is one molecule called hydrogen. Hydrogen makes plastic in the middle of liquid and solid, just enough for you to spread it. That's exactly what margarine is. You got plastic plus hydrogen, and you're getting a substance very similar what is margaric acid or what is margarine. What we eat. Now, we're saying, what are they feeding us? The liquid plastic? Well, no, not exactly, but that's exactly what it is made of. Between paint and margarine, did you know that between paint and margarine, it shares 27 ingredients? So all the 27 ingredients you find in paint, when you paint your walls, you find it in margarine. That is what it is, that's what it's composed of. Now, that concludes the second portion of my point. Let's move to the third one. The third point is it healthy or is it unhealthy? So we talked about what it's composed of. It's composed of all the same molecules as plastic, and it shares 27 ingredients with paint. So it's an experiment that you guys can do on your own. If you take margarine and you place it in the middle of your garage and you leave it there for a week, you'll find many things very interesting to happen with it. First of all, you won't see any flies on it. Not even the little flies that go around fruit. cockroaches, rats, none of those animals or insects will get anywhere near it. Why? Because there's no nutritional value in margarine. Everybody knows you drop a piece of candy on the floor, ants will get on it like that. Not margarine. Leaving margarine there is equivalent to leaving a piece of plastic there. For animals, insects, flies, there is no nutritional value in that. They don't want to have anything to do with margarine. You do that with butter, it will get immediately within hours ants, flies, rats, cockroaches quickly. That tells you that there's absolutely no nutritional value on it. So you're going to ask me, why do they even sell it? Well, it's the marketing behind it. They've put enough value and coloring and food tasting in it to sell it to the masses. Now, that concludes most of the speech. Only thing I would add would be that it is not toxic to you. But let me give you some statistics. People that eat margarine are 5 times more likely to get cancer because of the type of chemicals and composures that are in it. The way margarine is done is after everything is completed, when they've made margarine, they have to clean it with bleach in order to get the stink and the smell out of it. Because remember, butter is made out of milk. Margaric acid is made out of vegetable oil and a lot of different composures of chemicals. It doesn't smell good. So if they bleach it, clean it, they end up with a very white substance that they then color with artificial coloring to look yellow, just like butter does. The people that eat margarine are also 3 times more likely to have coronary disease or clogged arteries and heart attacks. Mostly because, again, the substance that is made, the very high cholesterol and the high fatty acids that it contains. Margarine also distills insulin. You know that people that have diabetes have a low amount of insulin. They use that. Well, margarine makes insulin almost useless to the human body. It actually lowers its effectiveness. Those are some of the facts. That concludes my speech for today. Thank you so much for listening. We talked about the 3 points, the history of it, what it is, and the health-wise on it. Now that I've given you with all this presentation, I hope you are more informed about it and you can make your decisions going forward on whether or not you go margarine or butter. So I'll open up the floor now for any questions that may arise.
Which product do they buy the most?
That's a good question. Butter is actually beaten every year by the sales of margarine. And the reason for that, butter is made from natural milk and substances that will make it a lot more expensive. Margarine is way cheaper to make because you're making it out of chemicals. So not only is it purchased more because it's cheaper, anything that's mass produced, that's made by restaurants, bakeries, huge chains that make a lot of cookies, and they all use margarine. Because if they make products in the millions of dollars and they go with margarine over butter, the amount of money they save are in the millions of dollars. So margarine outsells butter every year.
How does margarine get its color? How does it turn yellow?
Well, that's a very interesting question, because whenever margarine was first introduced, it was illegal to sell it in the United States, Canada, and most parts of South America. It was illegal to sell it. That's not a really good law to have, because you can't really ban the substance because it doesn't immediately give you a toxin. So they passed a law in the United States that they were not allowing these companies to color the margarine yellow and to make it taste more like butter. So their sales were low. That law was also refuted a few years after that. The way that they began to color it is by the food coloring that they use. I don't know if you've ever made cookies or stuff like that. There's red dyes and yellow dyes that they put into the bakeries. That's what they use to give it that natural color. So it looks like it is butter. It's all artificial flavoring and things that you use on candy and popsicles.
Do you think that people would rather eat it because it's more like less calories?
It's actually, the calories that it comes on it are less than butter. So it does have less, you're right, it does have less calories than butter, but it's offset by the ingredients in it. The reason it doesn't have much calories, just take those the composition of it. If you take plastic, you're not going to find a lot of calories in plastic. You'll probably find more calories in, a sandwich. But then again, which one would you rather eat? So I mean, you guys, thank you so much for your questions. Your questions were great. And again, I appreciate you guys' time. Thank you.